This is the Hartford Online Radio Network. 21st Century Audio. Delivered on thehorn.com.
Hartford Online Radio Network, I'm Brian Parker. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube. And if you don't, Tommy Russo will find you, and he'll take care of you. You don't think I'm going to turn on your microphone right away, do you? This is the first time I get to intro the show.
Well, there you go.
All right, now I turn it off. We have two great interviews today. First is David Ciccarelli from Voices.com, and then also Bonnie Stewart from the Connecticut Business and Industry Association. But let us bring in our new friend, David, right there, that handsome man. David, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much. Appreciate being on the show.
It's very exciting. Now, you are the CEO of Voices.com, but you do this is a venture that you do with your wife, Stephanie. Is that right?
That's right. She's really the one in charge. I like to joke around, but I always say she's my wife first and then co-founder second. Somebody long time ago says, make sure you get the order of those two right. She's always going to be your wife, and but we're kind of live, breathe, eat, and sleep this business, and we're really passionate about it.
It is an interesting. Give us a little what for about what exactly Voices.com is, because it's a very unique business.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So in a nutshell, Voices.com is what we call an online marketplace. So if you think of, a big job website where voice talent, maybe like yourself, Brian, guys who have great voices, background in radio or broadcast, they might talent who maybe have a background in acting, can basically go on to Voices.com, post a profile, upload maybe a sample recording of their voices. And then clients like NBC, ABC, Nickelodeon, Disney, big name, brand name clients, as well as small businesses, can go on and search by, language, age range, gender, accent, you name it, and find a voice talent that they might want to work with for a given project. And the whole thing from start to finish is all managed through Voices.com. So it really is a self-service internet platform that we've built.
It's fact. We were talking before the show. I was explaining to some of the folks here in the studio that voice actors have a very difficult time because there is no, going to the stage to do a stage reading or doing the callback sort of thing. It's really you got this demo tape or demo in these days, demo MP3.
That's right.
And then you just throw it out there to as many places as you can and hope something sticks. So it's great that there's finally, really a place that people can go who are the voice talent, which is really becoming, any Joe Schmo with a good voice and a microphone can do this with today's technology. So it's neat that we can get that out there.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we tend to frankly really kind of harp on is that it as much as the technology barrier to entry is pretty low, as you say, an iMac with comes with GarageBand and. Right. And you can plug in a microphone. You're set up technologically, but one of the things that we see as the difference is on the artistic side, being able to see a piece of copy, a script, print it off, being able to read it and interpret the words so that they really come to life. It's not just, you can tell when somebody's reading, and a good voice actor is really that. They're doing acting. It's a performance, and you wouldn't know that they're reading the script. So on top of the artistic abilities is also the business skills. And you kind of hit on that earlier, Brian, about how really a voice talent is a freelancer. They're, kind of an independent contractor, if you will. And they do need to market themselves by, creating, demo CDs and mailing those out, networking at local events, as well as through the internet, having profiles on social networks. And job sites like Voices.com as well. So, you really need that kind of trio, they call it, the triple threat in, traditional acting, if you will, but we kind of see that as the triple threat of voice acting: technology, business, and artistic skills.
I think you're absolutely right. We have a couple guys that Tommy knows. Michael Chula, who is a terrific actor, great singer, has done the New York route, but he has the voice that you would die for. but he's
Right.
very poor on the business side. We should probably refer him over to voices.com, but he's a great guy. Now, you are right there in London, Ontario, Canada. So that's somewhere right around the middle of the Great Lakes, right?
Yeah, that's right. We're kind of smack between Toronto and Detroit. So, we can get to, which is actually a great place to be. We have two wonderful airports to fly out of if we ever need to go anywhere. But, little known fact, actually, London, Ontario was when we founded the country of Canada here, we're actually going to pick London to be the capital of Canada. But for whatever reason, they didn't and put it a little further up north. But kind of a long, deep history and great city, and we love being here.
Are you originally from Canada, or did you move there from the States?
No. I'm originally here. Grew up in actually the top of the Great Lakes, a city called Thunder Bay, which is kind of smack dab in the middle of all Canada. Very isolated. But just a great place to grow up. But I was really kind of called to go to school here in London. And of course, when you meet a lovely lady like my wife, there's no reason to leave.
Well, isn't that nice? And I think people can maybe just hear a little bit of the Canadian voice there. I'm not really sure.
I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Hey. Hey, so what were you guys doing before voices.com, before you decided to launch into this?
Yeah, great question. So, kind of how we met was really fascinating. I went to school to become an audio engineer and learn how to, mix music and sound, and learn how to operate those mixing consoles that look like the Starship, bridge of the Starship Enterprise, right?
I'm sitting in front of one now.
Going through the school, I really kind of had that passion for starting my own business, and that's exactly what I did. As soon as I graduated from the program, started a small recording studio, and on my birthday of all days, I got my picture in the newspaper, and they published it. And around that time, Stephanie she's a classically trained singer. She sings, opera and for weddings and funerals and so forth. And her mom cut out the picture and said, "Hey, maybe you want to record a sample of you singing so that you can better market yourselves as a soloist." So she came into the studio, and I said, "You have such a wonderful voice. Do you think you could help me out and do some commercials and some phone systems that needed recording?" And, we really just hit it off. Stephanie likes to say around that time, it got romantic. Well, I don't know quite what that means, but I think it's shorthand for, we got married and had 4 kids.
If you know your party's extension, press 9.
Hey, David, go ahead, David.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Tommy.
I have a question for you, David. You mentioned that your wife is a vocalist. Do the services that voices.com bring to the table include singers as well?
There are some singers on the website. Anytime you hear the spoken word, whether it's through speech or song or a jingle, and English, French, Spanish, there's actually over 100 different languages represented at the website as well. So it's a pretty broad network of the type of talent that you can find at the site. But yeah, that's a great question. There's definitely singers and different types of audio producers as well.
That is terrific. So it really is. It's like a big supermarket online for voice talent, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
So what happened? So you're doing this production house. Tell me a little bit more of the story behind you guys.
Yeah,
what happened?
Sure. So
what was the plunge point?
Once we, as you say, once we kind of hit it off there, and we did a number of commercials locally, and we kind of dawned on us that if we're in London, Ontario, Canada, wherever that is, and we're being modestly successful doing voiceover, surely there's this global marketplace of independent freelancers just like us that are kind of working away and drumming up our own business. So that was, being a big eBay user that, operates a marketplace of, all kinds of goods that connect buyers and sellers. That aha moment was, what if we could build an online community that brought together the buyers, those people who are looking to do the hiring, and the voice talent, those people who have great voices who are looking to sell their services. And, that's when we sold off, probably at the time, $25,000 to, maybe $50,000 on the high end of recording equipment that I had built up. And sold that off in a calculated risk, I like to say, and hired our first web developer to build, the very primitive version of voices.com at the time. And that's kind of where it started. I mean, we knew that there was interest because as Stephanie was doing a few commercials locally, we actually had a guy from Quebec who would say, if you ever need a Frenchman, then, call me up. I'm your guy. And we're like, okay, well, hey, if we need somebody who speaks French, we'll call this guy. And, you get the surfer dude and, if you need a surfer dude, and hey, man, I'm a surfer dude in California. If you need me, give me a ring. And it's like, we had, all these people with different character types and languages. And we're like realizing around then that there were people that we could really showcase and feature on the website.
Right.
So that's what prompted us to sell the equipment and then build the first version of the website.
Let me jump in here, if you wouldn't mind, Brian.
Tommy.
Hey, David, a question for you. In this day of electronic cottages, and just to let you know a little bit about myself, I co-own a production company as well, and we use services similar to yours, and we also work with people locally and regionally to come in and record out of our studios. But with that said, in this day of electronic cottages, the sonic inconsistencies at times are profound. We will get a recording from an announcer, let's say in Phoenix, Arizona, that at best needs to be doctored and in some cases totally needs to be re-recorded. How does Voices.com deal with that specific issue?
Again, that's probably a doozy if I may say so. One of the benefits, I guess, of having kind of a broad tool market is that really what we like to believe is that the best talent kind of rise to the top. And they do so. So the quality control, if I understand, is kind of really what you're getting at with the question. And
absolutely,
does really rest on the shoulders of the voice talent themselves and the producers who might be coming to the website. As you say, you do have your own set of tools, and you're listening with that critical ear from track to track. But I think if it was a widespread concern, that those messages would be getting back to us a lot more often. But because we, just if I could a bit how kind of the process works. Sample recordings of your script would be sent to you, so you can hear exactly what the final product is going to sound like, except you're just hearing 30 seconds, enough that gives you a bit of a taste for not only the vocal characteristics and is this person a good fit, they're pacing right for the job, but also the sonic quality of the recording. So you'd be able to know early on in the process if this, needs too much work and, I might just work with someone else. So those are what we call responses or auditions, if you will, would be sent to you, and you'd be able to make that evaluation ahead of time.
Great.
It sounds like a smart idea. How is that sent to you? Is it some kind of login on the computer or on the website, or does it get emailed to you?
Yeah, the great question again. You would actually be able to log into your account at voices.com. The reason being is because, first of all, as you know, MP3 files, they're not the smallest file that there is, so they're big files. Just getting kind of one or two of them.
Right.
Well, when a client comes to the website and posts their job, we actually probably you'd receive somewhere between 50 and 100 responses. So, I mean, it would bog you down, and let alone, knowing, hey, did I like this person? Did I not like them? And suddenly you're using your email inbox to manage a project. But that's really what Voices.com is built to do, is manage the project for you.
Right.
So you can, jot down artistic comments right within the website. There's a like button, that you can like certain auditions and shortlist them. And then naturally you can, when you find the talent that you want to work with, that you'd be able to award the job to them and be able to make the payment through the website.
Interesting stuff. So you have a whole interface that is built in there, which is very impressive. Neat stuff. I kind of want to go now. Where does Voices.com go from here? What are the challenges you see ahead? And then here in the States, we're just getting over the hangover of this PIPA and SOPA, the Prevent IP Piracy and Stop Online Piracy Acts, which thankfully have failed in the way that they were written. Too much of that that would have been probably the biggest unfunded mandate in the history of unfunded mandates. But do you get nervous about people putting up music that is, they're trying to do a voiceover, but they're using someone else's music that they don't have the rights to, and they're trying to make money on it? Does that kind of stuff concern you? And then where does voices.com go from here?
Yeah, that's a good issue to bring up. One of the ways that obviously that does concern us. By no means would we suggest or recommend that someone's using music that's commercially available music. Generally, the way demos are produced is really one of two things: a completely fictitious company name, that might kind of where there's a script written from scratch, and royalty-free music used as the music bed under the sample kind of commercials. The other way is asking permission from the client of previous work that you've done, and just getting an approval. Say, hey, I'm putting together my demo. I really enjoy doing the work with you, and can I use a small piece, 10, 15 seconds in my demo going forward? So those are the two ways that it's used. There have been maybe, out of the over 2 million demos that have been downloaded and listened to at voices.com, I can count on less than one hand the times that a client or somebody has reached out to us and said they've had a concern over the content of a demo. It's extremely rare. I mean, I can't tell you the last time I remember it happening, but I know that it has. So nothing there to be worried about. But I mean, going forward for us, I mean, I tend to be the eternal optimist, and really try to look at the opportunities. And I see those in a couple of areas. And really the theme for us has been mobile, local, and social. And those kind of three themes, mobile, obviously, we're working on right now is building an iPhone application where talent can record auditions from anywhere. And likewise, a producer who's crunched for time can be able to log in from basically tap on their iPhone or iPad and be able to review all their auditions in real time. That's very powerful.
That's certainly powerful.
Social, leveraging these communities of that we've been able to build up a community of almost 50,000 people on Facebook already in just the last year. So, how do we interact and engage those people there?
Yes, and I hope those 50,000 people, all of them, listen to this interview. That's going to be my charge to you.
There you go.
I want 50,000 people on my YouTube.
We'll share the link tomorrow morning.
That'd be great.
I think we already did if we didn't already.
Terrific.
And the last one was around local, which I think is still an interesting trend, is what was mentioned earlier about how producers still want to see a voice talent face-to-face and direct those sessions. So, kind of a broader, longer-term picture for, an iPhone application. What if you could search for a local talent and, have them kind of pinpoint your studio on a map and be able to locate where you are, invite them in to record your session, and then, possibly even use the iPhone app to be able to pay them for their time as well, too. So, I mean, those are the three broad themes that we see, and I like to think pretty far out and just kind of work towards executing on those.
Is this the only business that you and your wife are in?
It is. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I mean, we're. I think because our background, mine in the engineering side of the audio production, and Stephanie, hers being in the artistic side and a lot of the education. I mean, we just, we talk about it all the time. We don't really see ourselves doing anything else. And there's so much opportunity ahead of us to really pursue. And the fact that we've got a great group of people that we work with here in the office of 25 people. So, when you look at those factors, then there wouldn't be time to start anything else, or the desire.
David, I have a question for you. You mean here in the States, you hear the demise of radio and the downfall of TV. I mean, the naysayers talk about it all the time. Truth be told, I don't buy it for a second. But there certainly is some substantiation to see that there has been some fall off. How do you see that impacting Voices.com in the future?
Yeah, we've every year I write an annual report, kind of a state of the industry, which anybody could find just by Googling, voiceover industry and the report. You'll see something come up there, and in that I try to summarize what my findings are, both what's happening here. I mean, we process tens of millions of dollars of transactions and tens of thousands of projects. So we have a pretty good pulse on the industry, but I would agree with you. I wouldn't. I mean, the statistics might show that radio is declining by 2 or 3% a year or something. But then you look at other areas like podcasting or recordings that are just, the content is being repackaged and time shifted, is my personal opinion. So something that might have been a broadcast and live only before, maybe is more of a production and done as a podcast. Something that might have been, made into a TV, short presentation there might just be recorded as an audiobook. There's a lot more content that can be done in a lot more of an intimate fashion. I don't see the broad industry declining at all. If anything, we've seen, I mean, our business has exploded, but I think that's because we've kind of moved from an offline world into a new online space. But I think broadly speaking, again, the research shows that it's increased by about 10 or 12% a year for at least the last 10 years.
We are talking to CEO of Voices.com, David Ciccarelli. David, what is, and every business plan has to have a good exit strategy. Have you thought about what the exit strategy for you is? Is this a sellout thing, or is this a ride it until there is no more kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, we're just in a different, I think we're in a different position and different state of mind. I mean, we definitely don't intend to sell the company. There have been, to be perfectly honest, there have been a number of people who've approached us over the years. I think that when you kind of get past that, initial 3 to 5 year mark, so we've been at this for about 9 years now. I mean, all the hard work and heavy lifting has been done. That's establishing a brand, and at that point, I just don't see myself wanting to, or I haven't kind of come up with a better idea to do something different. So I mean, in terms of the exit, I mean, we're young, in our kind of young 30s, so we'll continue to operate the business for a long time. Maybe it's a legacy type thing where we really do feel like we're changing the way that business is done. So this is more of a missional type endeavor for us, not kind of a start it and flip it type of situation. So we're definitely in it for the long haul.
Yeah, a lot of work, especially to do the kind of business, voiceovers online. No one has done this before with great success. So this is there was a lot of effort, I'm sure, getting that flywheel started, and you don't want to sell out right away. Now, how do you guys make money? Do you take a portion of whatever the guy's fees are that they get from the from the guy who needs the commercial, or do voice artists pay you a subscription? How does that work?
Yep. So the voice talent, it's really what's called a freemium service. So you can sign up and join free. And there's also premium services, in which case you could subscribe for $40 a month or $300 a year. So the voice, as I say, the voice talent are really advertising themselves. This is a great promotional tool for them. The clients, we have also kind of a funny story. I went and presented on one of these entrepreneur type, reality TV show type things, and it was called the Dragon's Den, and I think you have the Shark Tank in the States, similar type of a program.
Okay.
So I was on the Dragon's Den and I explained this, and it's like, okay, the panelists said, great idea. You make money from the voice talent, but you've got all these big name logos on your website and large companies using you. What do you make from them? And I said, well, at the time, I said nothing. Let's figure out a way to make money from these companies. You're offering them a tremendous service. So we built and patented a payment process called SurePay, which basically where voices.com acts as that trusted intermediary between the client and the talent. And there is a 10% fee that we have built into to that. So there's an incentive for us to find the talent work. Right. One, because every time we send somebody a payment for $500, they're more likely to renew their subscription for $40 a month.
For sure.
And then on the vice versa, there's also a 10% fee built into that for us. So there's a dual incentive.
That's right. Have you ever seen the movie Trading Places?
Yes.
You're like Duke, and Duke always takes the commission. It's perfect.
So David, I have another question for you. I'm convinced that in most businesses, including the ones that are represented here at the table and you, that we're almost guaranteed that we're going to have more competition tomorrow than we do today. What are your thoughts on that as, your competition is, in the weeds right now, looking to spring up and come after voices.com? Any thoughts on that?
Well, one is competition is definitely a reality. I would consider our competitors really to be the status quo, that old way of doing business, which is, the big advertising agency working with the talent agency and the casting director and the producer and booking in the recording studio just to do auditions, let alone actually get any work done. So I think that, kind of just the old way of doing business is our biggest competitor. But, one of the kind of, if I may, a general philosophy that I have is, there's two ways you can go through life in running a business. One is being competitive and always being worried about what the quote unquote other guy is up to, or you can be creative and chart your own path. And I just find if I'm going to invest my time and energy and into an initiative, I'd rather do it with kind of the blank slate and the open road ahead of me of just being creative and not really worrying about what someone else is doing. But having said all of that, protecting, how do we ultimately protect ourselves from and remain, what I would consider being, an industry leader and really a pioneer in this space is by building a great brand. I mean, voices.com, the domain name just kind of, it sums it up. It says what we do in one word, and it says how to find us in one word. And so I think there's the brand is one thing. I think innovating is another way that we can kind of put, more distance between us and the next guy. And I kind of alluded to that through the iPhone application and iPad, and just staying on top of those technology trends is really, I think, the best way that you can insulate yourself from someone that might be coming up behind you.
That's great. Coincidentally, I'm reading right now the Steve Jobs biography by Walter Isaacson. You are too. Our guest that's the next half hour is as well. And some of what you just shared with us, David, reminded me exactly of Jobs' attitude from day one when he decided that he was going to do some of the things that he did. He was a maverick in every sense of the word. You seem to have a little gentler, kinder approach to that than maybe Jobs did. But your whole focus on creativity and not really concerning yourself with competition is a refreshing one, and I high-five you from our country to yours.
Well, I appreciate it. I haven't read the book yet. Obviously, I'm a big Apple fan and Steve Jobs fan as well.
It's a must-read, I think.
Yeah, I will.
Absolutely.
I've been hoping to pick up the audio book because that's just... I'm a great listener. I love
no kidding.
Listen.
Voices.com guy is going to get the audiobook. No kidding.
Yeah, go figure, right? No, and it is, there. I think I find there are time periods where I feel like I just get sucked into being stressed and worried about what everybody else is up to, and you can just really work yourself up. And what do you accomplish by that? If I could have taken those same 3 days to map out a next generation or a new business strategy, a next generation of our technology, a new design for something. So I just find that's a better use of time, and I feel a lot more personally fulfilled by being creative than kind of butting heads with some worry that may never come to pass.
Well, David, I think that is the right attitude to have, especially in the entrepreneurial spirit sort of world that you need to live in. But I want to thank you very much. David is appearing, by the way, courtesy of Gateway Financial Group, the accounting firm of Budwitz and Meyerjack, Deepwater Seafood, and Sherpa Technologies. David Ciccarelli of Voices.com. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks, David. Great job.
Thank you.
Budwitz and Meyerjack PC is a large Connecticut-based CPA firm with offices in Cheshire and Farmington, Connecticut, large enough to